Hi, I'm Scott Borthman, and this is vZome Online, a web-based application for viewing and eventually creating and editing 3D geometric models. What we're looking at here is not an image, it is actually a 3D view that we can interact with. We can click on, zoom and pan, etc. You can also do the same on a touch display on your iPhone or iPad or tablet. This should work in all modern browsers. You can see exactly what I'm seeing and explore the vZome Online just by visiting this URL, vZome.com/app on your device. There's no sign up, no sign in, no memberships. There's no server side here at all. This is running entirely in the browser. It's really just a web page with very dynamic content. So what can we look at? If you go to the folder menu here and click on it, you'll find some built-in models. We're already looking at the vZome logo. Let's take a look at the C240 buckyball. So it loads pretty quickly. There's evidence that the code actually runs faster than desktop vZome. And again, this isn't something I can interact with, and for what it's worth, I can click on things, etc. Its intent is not really just for you to look at my 6 models, though. The intent is to be able to view and share vZome files that you may have or others may have. So where am I going to get those vZome files? If you're not familiar with vZome itself, the original vZome, it's a desktop application. That's an authoring tool. It's designed for building these geometric models. It's originally designed around Zome tool. You might recognize the Zome ball shape here, but it can do quite a bit more now and can be a lot of fun to play with. And lots of tools and interesting things you can do with vZome Desktop. So what I'm going to do is save this file and we'll open it up with vZome Online. Before I do that, let me explain something. One of the things you can do with vZome as an editor is you can undo all the way back to the beginning and you can redo. So it's sort of got infinite undo redo. And in fact, when we store the vZome file, what we're storing is that undo history, that command history. When I save, that's what I get. And that means that until today, the only application that could open these files was vZome itself, because it has to understand all those commands and interpret them correctly. That all changes today because that same code base has been ported to JavaScript and is now running here in my browser. And so I can say open local vZome file. I can choose the file I just saved and it launches very quickly in my browser. And I can interact with it, etc. Now again, I can't edit it yet. That's coming. But for now, this is just a viewer. So I can look at my own vZome files. I can also look at other files that others have shared, if they're able to share them on a web server. So that looks like this. I can go to remote vZome URL, and I just need to have the URL for the model. So let's go find a couple that I have handy. So here's one that I'm serving on the vZome.com domain. So I can paste that one in. Because that's the same domain as the website that we're visiting, there's no cross-origin issue, so there's no security issue. The browser will let me do this, and I can open it up just fine. Now I can also go look at a file that is hosted on a GitHub site that my friend Nan Ma has provided. And again, this site is set up to provide the right cross-origin headers. So again, the browser will not complain and it will happily go and fetch this file. This is not true of all web servers, so there's some technical details to be concerned with there. But there we have the design from my friend Nan. Okay, and there's more. You can actually share a URL with friends that will launch vZome Online with your model. So if I simply combine this prefix, so I take the URL and I add it to the vZome URL with this query parameter, I'll get a link like this, and if you send it in an email, someone can simply click on it, just as I'm about to do, and up it comes. Okay, so it's a very nice way to share models. Now, there are some provisos. As I said, this is a port of the vZome Java code to JavaScript to run in the web. That's been a long and painstaking process, and it's still ongoing. You will inevitably find some vZome designs that won't open in vZome Online. You'll see a red error banner. It'll show you as much as it can, everything it was able to get to, and then it'll show you an error for when it stopped. If you find any of those, please share them with me. You can see how. If you click on the little info icon here, we get the About dialog. I've included an email link at the bottom here if you have a vZome design that won't open. I've got to fix all these bugs eventually, so if you send me your file, I can fix your bug sooner than others. So please share them with me. The intended target, the trajectory for vZome Online, is eventually to replace vZome Desktop. As a zero install experience, it's going to be much more approachable for people. And there's no reason we shouldn't be able to replicate all of the functionality of vZome Desktop, even the ability to install it as a progressive web app. So that's the goal, is to make it equivalent to vZome Desktop. It's going to be a long journey, and if you want to keep track of my progress along that journey, be sure to click on these links, one of these, and follow on Facebook or Twitter. If you want to experiment with vZome itself and you haven't, there's a link here for the desktop app. And of course, I've got a link for vZome Tool, which is the origin of all of this work that I've done. So I think that's it, everything I wanted to share. So thank you for watching, and I hope to see you using vZome Online.